Welcome to First and Fantasy. Today we are going to be talking about 5 high-end running backs that I believe are set up to fail in 2026. That doesn't mean I hate these players personally. That doesn't mean I think they aren't talented. But what I believe this means is they are going to underperform their ADP based on their current situation. If you've watched all my other videos, I'm sure you've heard me speak about a few of these players today, but a few will be new so far as we head into 2026. My thing about these players is if you draft them, I don't think they're going to kill your team, but you're going to be leaving value on the table because I see almost no upside for these players to go higher than their current ADP, and those are not the players we want to draft. We are looking for players that their floor is their ADP and their ceiling can go much higher. Imagine you're playing Texas Hold'em and you get dealt pocket aces, the best starting hand in the game. Now imagine you get real excited and you push your chips all in and everybody at the table folds. Well, did something bad happen? No, you won the blinds, you won a few chips, but did you get as much value as you could have extracted out of your pocket aces? No. So something similar we're looking at today, and this is really where we make leaps and strides throughout a draft and how we end up with a team that has a high floor, but even a higher ceiling. Whether you're new to the channel or you are returning, please like this video and subscribe. We are new. We are posting videos every single day, and we're going to be with you guys the entire fantasy football season. Our number one running back that is set up to fail that we're going to be talking about today is Christian McCaffrey. Yes, Mr. CMC. This is where I've been getting the most hate and the most blowback so far as we head into this season. A lot of people are like, how could you not draft CMC? How could you not draft? What's wrong with you? You're an idiot. Oh, okay, cool, thanks. Well, here's the thing. CMC is currently going as the 3rd overall running back in drafts, typically towards the middle to back end of the first round. The problem with that is that he is not finishing higher than 3. So we are taking him at his absolute maximum ADP, and everything has to go right for him to attain that ADP. He is not going to be finishing higher than Jahmyr Gibbs or than Bijan Robinson. Look at his situation this year. He's coming off a season where he handled a career high 413 touches. He had one of his lowest yards per carry in the entire league. He was 30th in the entire league for yards per carry, under 4 yards per carry, very inefficient. The 49ers have come out and publicly stated they want to lower his workload so he can be more efficient and be more utilized down the stretch of the season. He now turns 30. We know that 30 is sort of a negative magic number for running backs. Once you hit 30, you start to go, ooh, unless you're typically Derrick Henry, then you're just a freak. He also had 17 total touchdowns last season. I think he'll get to double-digit touchdowns this year, but it's probably going to be more something like 12, 13. If he loses another 5 touchdowns, if he's losing all those yards to work, I see him more in like the 300 touch range, not the 400 touch range, then it's going to be a big drop off. So we're paying just such a premium for CMC, knowing he could easily finish as the RB 6, 7, 8 with no upside to really finish as the RB 1 or 2. He also doesn't have a particularly easy or difficult strength of schedule. It's right in the middle there. So it's not like we're just getting the easiest schedule in the league with an ancient running back that can still be productive. So there it is. Kill me if you want to. Turn off the video. Oh, CMC was the number 1 running back last year. Yeah, I get it. It's regression time. It's coming down. No running back is ever repeated as the RB1. That is just another case in point why he doesn't even have potential to get the RB1, and he's not getting that RB2. So stone me if you want to, but do not take CMC. And last note I'll say on that and these players is you can take CMC should he drop to you. If CMC drops into the middle of the 2nd round, yeah, obviously take him, right? Because that means he's probably going behind a few other backs, maybe like James Cook, maybe Derrick Henry, whatever. That your league, every league is different, and there might be enough people out there that are worried about him, if you are in maybe a more experts league, a forward-thinking league, that he will drop, and that's where you can draft him and get value. I'm not a full-out CMC hater. I think he's still one of the best wide receiving running backs in the game, and that he's still going to get a solid touches, and he's still a good player. So I just want players at value. Next, we're going to be talking about Josh Jacobs of the Packers. Josh Jacobs, his carries dropped from 301 carries to 234 last season. That is a huge drop. It was like 70 carries, and he barely got to 4 yards per carry. Yes, he scored 13 rushing touchdowns. That is the one pro I would say on Josh Jacobs. When they get in close, they don't like to throw. They give this guy the ball, and he's very good at getting into the end zone. But he's getting older. He's already dealing with a growing injury injury in practice, camp, or whatever, preseason. He also has some legal issues off the field. It's just, there's a huge swirl around Josh Jacobs, and he's past his prime at this point, which I would say obviously is when he won the rushing title with the Raiders, or you could even say 2 seasons ago with the Packers, surrounded by better weapons, so he had more room to run. But he's past that at this point. It's not like everyone in the league is like, what's going to happen with Ezekiel Elliott when he's dealing with his off-field legal issues? He's not good enough of a player to be dealing with touch regression and yards per carry regression, likely touchdown regression coming this season, and off-season field issues. Their strength of schedule is very average, similar to CMC's, so he's not getting like an easy bonus there to just run through defenses. They're going to be competitive in games, which means it's not going to be a heavy run script necessarily. And they love to throw the ball with Jordan Love because he's a very good quarterback. And right now, Josh Jacobs is being drafted in the middle of the 2nd round. I just find that too high. Like for me, I'm looking like back of the 3rd, top of the 4th. This is actually a big disparity for me. I just don't love it. Between all the issues swirling around him, too many red flags, just don't want to take my chances there. And I just don't see his upside moving from middle of round 2. I don't see him finishing as what we would draft as a round 1 running back. In that case, let's avoid Josh Jacobs. On to number 3, and this one really, really, really pains me to say. That is Achane of the Miami Dolphins. He was legitimately like the lone consistent bright spot for the Dolphins last year. He is so electric. He's so fun. He's got such a positive attitude. He got a contract extension. He is the Dolphins, effectively. Like, I'm a big Malik Willis fan, so I think Malik Willis is hopefully going to be our future for the next 3 to 5 years. And if some of our other wide receivers work out, our rookie drafts, and if Malik Washington can grow, I think there's going to be some pieces there. But those are a lot of ifs. It's a lot of unknowns, right? Sort of like Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. If Coach would have put me in 4th quarter, we would have taken state. I don't like people that talk about ifs so much. Ifs give me pause. And that's ifs looking into the past. If there's a lot of ifs looking into the future, I like to keep my hands off a little bit. I still think Achane is talented as ever. I think he's going to have those huge runs just like last season. Like, he had a ton of huge runs that led to touchdowns last year. And I think those are still going to be there for him. But I think it's going to happen more inconsistently with Jalen Waddle gone and all of the attention on Achane and stopping the run game. If the Dolphins can come out with a balanced pass game and give him more room to run and give him a little bit less attention, then he can be successful. He's currently going like at the end of round 2 in drafts, which I could see him finishing just ever so slightly higher than that. But really, I'm more comfortable taking him in round 3. I think, back end of round 2 again is sort of his ceiling. And you're really hoping for a guy with a smaller frame who got a little banged up at the end of last season that he stays healthy. I know he wants that rushing title and he finished 2nd last year to James Cook. I just don't think with the weapons around him that he has enough room to do that. So I'd be more comfortable taking him in the middle to back end of the 3rd so that we get that upside up to the 2nd round. And then I think he has a solid floor there, bottom of the 3rd round. On to number 4, and that is going to be Kyren Williams of the LA Rams. Listen, I draft Kyren Williams every single season. I have had him legitimately for 3-4 years, however long he's been the starter for the Rams. I've been a Kyren Williams guy. I don't think he's the greatest running back in the world. I think he's pretty good at everything. And he really is Sean McVay's Swiss Army knife. It feels like Sean McVay has like 50 Swiss Army knives, right? He can doing handoffs to Puka Nacua in the backfield, and then he's throwing, giant wheel routes to Kyren Williams. Like, I don't know. The guy has too many weapons, but he's a great coach. So just give it to him and let's all appreciate what we're watching while we can. Here's the problem with Kyren Williams. He's going at the end of the 2nd round right now. You guys, as somebody who watches every single NFL game, as I've said, as a big Kyren Williams owner, I watch like every snap. I watch all the Rams games. The split between him and Blake Corum was evident as ever last year. Every other drive, they were swapping. Kyren would always get the start. And I guarantee you he's going to get the starts this year. So maybe that gives him one additional drive a game. And I will say this about Kyren is he would get the late game clutch time snaps for the most part as well, because he is the veteran. He's a little bit more sure-handed than Blake Corum. But at this point, we're talking about a 55% snap share. Now, granted, it's probably in the league's best offense, and he's going to score like every other game or every third game at worst. But his overall yardage is really probably capped at around 60 to 80 yards a game. So you're looking at, you know, in standard scoring, like 8 to 14 points. In PPR scoring, you're probably looking at somewhere close to like, you know, 10 to 18 points a week on a good week. But it's going to be very limited as far as his upside goes. And if he gets hurt, there's a big chance for a more explosive, younger back in Blake Corum to actually take over that backfield. Not fully, mind you, but perhaps we even see that complete 50-50 split, that 60-40 in reverse if they want to nurse Kyren Williams a little bit. Corum started to vulture touchdowns last year, and I don't see that not happening again. Apologies for the double negative. Now, here's the good side. They have a pretty good strength of schedule for running backs. It's top 10. I just think late round 2 is too high because he's not finishing at a higher value than that. That is his absolute max value that we're paying for. Similar to Achane, I'd like to get him in the late third round if he can fall to me there. And if not, I'm probably just not drafting him. Like Achane, he's going to be consistent. He's going to give you a good floor every single week. And there's going to be those weeks where he has some pops. Maybe for Kyren Williams, even a few multi-touchdown weeks if it happens to go that way and the drives fall that way in the split. Do we see him finishing higher than his ADP at any point? Above guys like James Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry? No, we don't. So we're really paying max value. I don't love that. Let's wait until the end of the third, top of the fourth, if we can, for Kyren Williams. And lastly, I'm going to talk about Breece Hall. This is another player I've randomly gotten a lot of blowback, specifically from toxic Jets fans about. Listen, Jets fans, you guys suck. You're worse than the Dolphins, okay? Every year, all we hear is, oh, you have no idea. You should see how much talent we have. You don't know the wave of talent and how talent just outdoes everything in the NFL. Who cares if we have the worst head coach in the NFL? Who cares if we have the worst quarterback in the NFL? The talent of these individual random players is going to shine through. Like we said this all year about. We said this all last season about Breece Hall and said how awesome he was, and he ended up with 4 touchdowns. What was that? 4 touchdowns. Why? Because he's in a committee backfield with a dude in Braylon Allen who's a monster and can vulture touchdowns. Isaiah Thomas is taking all of his passing down work away. They're on a team that's going to be behind all the time, and they're going to have to throw. Breece Hall has also had injury concerns in the past. And I should correct, Breece Hall had 5 total touchdowns because he had 1 receiving touchdown. So good for him, 5. Pretty sure Derrick Henry had that in 1 game last season. And Breece Hall is currently being drafted in the 3rd round. Oh my goodness, that is way too high. You need to be getting this guy in the 4th, 5th round, especially, you know, most leagues are half PPR. We cannot be taking a dude whose receiving game work is being cut into, like sliced in half. His goal line work is being sliced in half in the 3rd round. Do you see any world in which he's finishing legitimately higher than that draft value at the 3rd round? I don't. This is a guy, sure, if you go get him in the, I'm waiting until the 5th. If I can get him in the 5th, sure, I'll throw a dart at him and hope he can fall into the end zone every week with 70 total yards. Great. But he's not finishing higher than the value at which he's being drafted at. He also has the 5th most difficult running back schedule. He's probably finishing as a low-end RB2, right? Maybe a high-end RB3. Guys, we're talking like, he's probably going to finish in that like RB 25 range. Like, that is just way too expensive at round 3. There are way too many good players going around that range. Anyways, those are my 5 top-end running backs that are set up to fail going into 2026. If you stayed this long and watched the video, please like and subscribe. We are trying to grow the channel, and I would really, really appreciate it. Leave a comment. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What do you disagree with? And are there any hot takes here that you have that I didn't mention on players you think can fail? I'm going to do another video on mid to low end running backs that are being drafted that are also set up to fail. That should be out within the next week or so, because there's a lot of people who go 0 running back and they're waiting on those mid to late round guys, and That is totally fine. I do that all the time, but there are guys you're going to need to avoid. You don't want to wait and grab some of these guys later on and realize that you stepped on a freaking landmine and you're actually screwed. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.